Welcome in, guys. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Sar9T made by the manufacturer Sarsilmaz. They're located in Istanbul, Turkey. Sarsilmaz has been producing military-grade firearms since 1880, and for context, that's literally since the Ottoman Empire ruled the Eastern Mediterranean, which is pretty crazy to think about. They're currently one of the biggest manufacturers in Europe, and they have a state-of-the-art facility. The Turkish National Police, the Turkish military, and Turkish Special Forces all use the SAR9 as their primary sidearm. Over 80 countries have police departments or militaries that have adopted this platform. There's even a police department in Galveston, Texas that has two. So Sarsilmaz is in Turkey. SAR USA is in Miami. SAR USA popped up and started importing SAR9s, which is this model here, a little different variation. They started importing them in around 2017, 2018, and I found a bunch of articles about how they were going to make an American factory in 2022, but after searching for a while, I don't think it ever came to fruition. Their first offering in the US was the SAR9, which is their flagship model. They've publicly stated their goal for SAR USA is to have every police department in America use the SAR9. Honestly, I don't think that's really possible in the world of Glock, but it is cool to have some extra competition out there for sure. I think it's their flagship model for good reasons. The Turkish police live fire tested this pistol for up to 50,000 rounds. Then this pistol was submitted to the NATO's torture test, competing with SIG, Glock, H&K, etc., and it ended up winning. It survived a 5-year-long 90,000 round test, as well as testing in negative 50-degree Arctic cold, 130-degree desert heat, salt fog exposure, high altitude, 24 hours of rain, solar radiation, fouling, and repeated drop tests. Then Sarsilmaz thought that the NATO test didn't do it justice, so they did their own torture test, and they ended up stopping at 150,000 rounds of live fire testing. So 150,000 rounds. I don't know the exact specifics of it. I'm assuming that they were replacing springs and like the guide rod along the way, little odds and ends, whereas the meat and potatoes of the firearm were lasting throughout that 150,000 rounds. So I've had my eyes on this pistol for a while now, but at a $430 MSRP, I just couldn't justify the purchase. But when I saw this pistol go on sale for $199, I jumped on it right away. Like that is a whole lot of gun for $199. Keep in mind though, I will be critiquing this firearm as its MSRP of $430. I'm not going to be critiquing it as a $200 gun. I'm going to be critiquing it as a Glock contender. And the main reason for that is once you start getting up into the $430 range, I mean, I've seen a lot of deals as of lately where you can get like a Gen 5 Glock 17, 19, 19X, 45. You can get them for around $360, around $400 completely shipped as law enforcement trade-ins. And then there's also the Blue Label program for those of you that are first responders and military. But once you start getting up into that range, you start getting into the Glock territory. And it's so far beyond just Glock being tried and true, because there are a lot of other firearms that are tried and true. But the aftermarket accessories for a Glock is going to far surpass anything like a Turkish pistol that is imported here. So the 17 rounders are about double the price of a Glock mag. These are $37, but they are steel. So these are going to be a lot more durable. The base plates are polymer, but the overall the mag itself is steel. So just at about double the price of a Glock mag. One of the greatest appeals of owning a Glock is the fact that you can buy, a 10-pack of mags, a 20-pack of mags, and really start, cutting into that volume discount and really be able to train at the range without sitting there loading rounds over and over and over again. So the 17 round mags, as of this video, they run about $37. And then the 19 and 21 rounders, they are about $42. So they are double the price of Glock mags, but they are steel. The holster market also used to be really scarce, according to like all the forums on the internet, but that doesn't seem to be the case really anymore. Almost every major holster company out there, like name your favorite holster company, and they pretty much already have a holster in place for this. And then if you wanted to go the Kydex route, obviously you can just take this to someone that does Kydex and get a holster made up. So getting into the features, it's pretty Glock-like, but way more ergonomic because it takes some features from other popular makes and models It has a chassis like a SIG, which you'll see when I break this down. It has the U-shaped plastic takedown like the PPQ. You can see this on both sides. So it has like this plastic takedown. I prefer the tabs. This is probably something that I dislike on the model. However, I will say that after shooting it and taking it down a few times, this has loosened up significantly. So it's gotten a lot easier to take down. But I will say, if you were in a situation where there's any sort of fluid being introduced, water, oil, blood, whatever it is, this seems like it's going to be really slick, really slick trying to take this down. So again, that's the reason for Glock having those tabs and having the option to put oversized tabs here in order to really grip them in case there is something slippery introduced is really nice and really helpful. It also has an extractor that looks really close to the PPQ. So if you can see this extractor here, which is I will say that the extractor is really aggressive, but the SAR extractor is a little more oversized and it's definitely more aggressive, and it has like a claw at the end of it. And then it also mimics the VP9 because of the grip, which comes with 3 different options for back straps as well as side straps. So these side straps also come out and the back strap comes out. There's a little hole here. I can't show you on YouTube, but if you punch this hole out, basically the back strap will come out and then the side straps will come out as well. They're labeled with like which side they go on and what size they are. They come in small, medium, large, and the sides come in left and right, obviously, and the back strap just goes on the back. But I will say that this is truly a pistol that is one size fits all for that exact reason. I had an accident when I was younger where I cut right here the webbing in between my pointer and my thumb. So my palm swell is a lot smaller on my right eye dominant side. So I actually need a smaller palm swell when really feeling comfortable gripping a firearm. And having the option to switch out not only the back strap, but also the side straps is a really nice added feature, especially considering that Glock, you always have to have a black back strap on it and you can't just remove the back strap. Otherwise you have that pin that just kind of falls out. So this is like a really nice feature. So whether you have big hands or small hands, this is something that can definitely accommodate whatever your hand size is, your grip size. But I have to say, this is a fantastic feature that I wish more manufacturers would do. It's truly a gun that can fit almost anyone's hand, even though it is a full-size pistol. So this model is the Sar9T, and the T stands for tactical. But I don't think in the American sense, because the only difference that I can tell is that there is no safety. It has a blade safety inside the trigger, as you can see here, and then it also has this little red dot, which is going to be the striker status indicator. Red means dead, so this means that the trigger is good, and then if you pull it, the red goes away. It has a very generous trigger guard, and it also has some little notches on the front here. I'm assuming that's for like resting it on top of something like a ledge or maybe a windowsill, being able to really jam it into something while firing so that you can shoot from a rested position, which is kind of nice. The grip angle is 20 degrees, which feels really nice. I know in the world where, everything wants to be like that 1911 really slanted grip for that punch forward when shooting. I personally really dislike it. I do like the more and closer to that 90-degree axis as possible, especially for ARs. For pistols, obviously it makes a little bit more sense to have more of a slanted grip, but I feel like that 20 degrees plus the back straps being able to be customized is pretty nice. It has a full Picatinny rail on the bottom of it. It has front and back slide serrations, which are going to be on both sides. It has a 4.4-inch barrel, and then it has 3 white dot sights, but it's really important to note that these are metal. These aren't plastic. So these sights are pretty robust, but you field strip the pistol the same way that you would field strip a Glock, where you just take it a little bit out of battery and then you're going to pull the notches down, pull the trigger, and then it's just going to come right off of the rails. So once you have it in 2 pieces, and you can see what I'm talking about in regards to the chassis here, this is something that is completely modular, and you can take this entire housing out of the firearm. It has a dual recoil spring, which I found to be a really nice feature despite the slightly wobbly design. It feels a little bit less sturdy than Glock's recoil spring. And if you guys remember in the mid to late 2000s, Glock released their Gen 4 model, and this model featured a dual recoil spring on their guide rod. Gen 3s had a single recoil spring, and Glock, however, still recommended to change this spring every 5,000 rounds, despite having double the amount of springs. And Glock didn't come out and say it, but the gun community kind of figured out that 2 springs won't increase the lifespan of the recoil spring because both springs are getting depressed the same amount. It's the same amount of energy. But what it does do is soak up more of the recoil, making it a flatter shooter. So a dual recoil spring is going to significantly reduce the recoil and muzzle flip, and that is pretty nice. You can definitely feel it when you shoot it. It's a little dirty, but the barrel is polished very nicely. And as you can see on that upper, it does have more of a flared ejection port. So as you guys can see here, that ejection port is pretty aggressive. Some nice features also to notice are the oversized slide lock. This is really nice and beefy. It feels like you can really get a handle on it. The oversized mag release, like not only is it sticking out further, but it's also longer. And this is really, really nice to get a handle on, whether you have smaller hands that your thumbs are a little bit further back, or whether you have bigger hands and your thumbs are a little bit further forward. And then also you can notice that there's this little divot right here on the bottom of the mag well. And this is for if a magazine is ever stuck. You can get your fingers in here and really get good leverage to get the magazine out, which is pretty nice. But okay, let's talk about some cons. So some cons for the pistol are, by far, the worst feature of this pistol is going to be the trigger. The trigger is terrible. It is very gritty. It feels like something that is very sandpapery. There are times when it feels like it has a wall and it breaks, and then there are other times when it feels like it is a rolling trigger. And the more you shoot it, the smoother it is, for sure. But the one thing is, this really applies to first shot accuracy, because once you start shooting and once you start rapid firing, the reset is always consistent. So when the reset is always consistent, you're always going to have that nice clean reset that comes back to the wall. But you can see how it like grit, and then break. That is just a lot. There you go. Grit. It is very, very gritty. So it's basically a Glock with a worse trigger somehow. I would imagine that a 25-cent trigger job would go a really long way with something like this, and probably something I'm going to do before my next range trip with it. I've also handled the safety version, which is the non-T version, which the safety goes right here, and it's horrendous. It's huge. It's in the way. It's really annoying. I think the reason why they add the safety is for the NATO test, but I could be mistaken. I thought that was the reason why Glock lost to SIG, SIG's ND machine, the SIG 320 or whatever they call the military version, the M17. I thought the entire reason why Glock lost to them was because Glock didn't want to add yet another safety onto their Glock because they felt like they had enough already. Another con is when I first got this firearm, it smelled like body odor. It smelled like it smelled like bad machining fluid. In a machine shop, you have this lubricating fluid where if it's not changed regularly, it can basically create a bacteria, and then that bacteria spreads, and this bacteria has a really, really bad smell. So when I first got this firearm straight out of the box, immediately broke it down, scrubbed every inch of it, oiled it down, everything, just to get the smell off of it, really. It was something that was a very, very strong odor, but I guess beggars can't be choosers when you're buying a $430 gun for $200. So moving on to holsters, there's a model made by this company that is called the SAR9CX, as in Charlie X-ray, and it comes with an out-of-waistband holster, and it's very, very strange. I would highly recommend people stay away from this model, and I think that if the manufacturer somehow comes across this video, they should maybe do a little R&D into their products, or maybe just copy and paste the rest of the things that they've already copy and pasted from other manufacturers. Their OWB holster, it essentially is a lighter and cheaper Serpa holster. And if you guys remember, the Serpa holster is the infamous out-of-waistband holster that has the button to disengage the firearm, which is right where the trigger is. So it leads to a lot of negligent discharges when you're trying to pull your pistol out of your holster. Very, very strange. I would recommend staying away from that model completely. Just get the normal version or the compact version, and then get your own holster from one of the other, whoever your favorite holster manufacturer is, or Kydex. But I would say, all in all, it is a great range toy. It's a great cash gun, tackle box gun. I just wouldn't pay $430 for it, because that's Glock territory. But for $199, fantastic deal. I'll pick this up all day long at $199. This is a lot of gun for $199. But that's all I have for you guys today. Please like and subscribe. Join the Discord if you'd like to talk to like-minded people. We have beginner to advanced sections. And if you'd like to support me by helping me out with ammo to review more firearms, you can become a Patreon member for as low as $4 per month. Until next time, take care.